The death penalty, by the grim nature of the concept, is a very highly debated issue in America due to its feeling of finality, inhumility, and conflicting attributes with the Constitution of the United States itself. Due to the polarizing nature of this issue, two main sides have been born to give opinions on the death penalty. One side is of the belief that it is inherently inhumane, that the ending of someone's life due to a crime will never be justified. And the other side is of the belief that certain crimes should be punishable by death. And by some, they mean most. So today, I'm going to fence-sit on this issue where hundreds of lives are at stake, and explain the pros and cons of the death penalty. And if you like and subscribe, I'll tell you what I think. Please, I need subscribers. I made a bet with a lot of bad people, and I need a lot of subscribers, please. Now, I want to say I've heard like a million reasons as to why we should abolish the death penalty and all capital punishment and all that kind of stuff. Like, I've heard it all, because I've certainly done a lot of research on the subject, if you couldn't tell by my very organized thoughts. But I've only really heard two reasons that I find compelling enough to mention in this project. First and foremost, it goes against the Constitution. In the Constitution, it states that the American government is not allowed to carry out cruel and unusual, or anything like that, right? What could be more cruel and unusual than someone getting injected with basically bleach and being forced to drown in their own body? Because that's essentially what happens with some of these executions. Basically, coroners can find that after some lethal injection cases, that a bunch of liquid starts filling into the lungs of the victims. And that is insane, because that implies that the victims felt this sort of drowning feeling with all this liquid filling their lungs, unable to breathe, gagging on their own spit. That's horrifying. That is far beyond cruel and unusual. That's just, like, demonic to deal with. And the second compelling reason that I heard against the death penalty is, well, you're dragging out the case for no reason. Because capital punishment is a very uncommon thing. Only around, I want to say, like under 20 a year, give or take. So when it happens to some kind of, let's say it happens to Rex Huberman, the Gilgo killer, right? Imagine being in that family. Your daughter was just taken from you by this awful, awful man, right? And you can't stand the sight of him ever again. You think he is disgusting, repugnant, abhorrent, all of the words, right? And then you check the newspaper, and you see Frontline, Rex Huberman fries, going on electric chair, and you have to see his face again. So you're immediately brought back to all of that trauma that you were forced to feel. And you relinquish back to your room. You start sobbing. You check your phone. Boom, Rex Huberman. You see a true crime documentary. Rex Huberman gets executed today. Wowee. You see this over and you check the news. He's there. Check TikTok again. He's there. YouTube, Instagram, whatever. Imagine being in that situation where you're forced to live with the image of this man haunting you. Even if he's dying, even if it is a painful way to go out. You shouldn't have to be forced to see this person. Not to mention all of the shitheads who are going to interview you about the case and be like, oh, so how did it feel when your daughter was brutally murdered? That's horrible. You shouldn't have to deal with that. No, these victims, via capital punishment existing, are being forced into, like, the media, like, spotlight and being forced to relive all of these horrible memories. And that is just something, the thought of it alone, I just simply cannot bear it. And those are the main reasons I have against it. But
Kill that boy! Kill that boy! Kill that boy! Kill that boy! Kill him!
much like the cons, I have certainly heard a lot of arguments over the years as to why the death penalty is such an inherent good of the universe, and why we should definitely have it. The first one that I've heard is that it helps increase public safety, because if you kill all the killers, there's no more killers, and then all of a sudden, everyone's just hunky-dory, perfect. And that argument has always felt a little silly to me, just because, well, hey, if we kill all the bad guys, there's no bad guys left. We killed them all. I killed them. They're dead. I'm a good guy. That inherent belief that the death penalty is this morally just thing that's perfect for the world is just inherently wrong. And also, I feel as if we allow the government to get too overpowered with this and let them, overreach and just kill anyone they deem to be a bad guy, all of a sudden, if we allow the government to overstep like this and allow them to just kill whoever they seem fit, we run the risk of the government growing way too empowered, and anyone who speaks out is all of a sudden an enemy of the state, and then, they're executed live. So, it's a slippery slope, which is what I'm trying to say. I definitely lean to one side of the argument, if you couldn't already tell, but I'm going to get into that later. Another argument that is made by this is that it is a large deterrent, to commit any crimes, which is a pretty fair reason, I'd say. I mean, I certainly wouldn't steal if I knew I was going to get my head chopped off in the, town square or whatever. But at the same time, there have been multiple polls taken by law enforcement officers that have shown that the deterring effect that this has been theorized to cause is just completely made up. Not to discredit any other research that other people may find on the subject, but from what I've heard, a majority of cases, the death penalty doesn't really stop people, and it makes sense. I have a personal theory that instead of, this death penalty causing a deterrent, fear factor, it causes more of ooh, I gotta be extra sneaky. Because the bigger punishment, you have to find better and better ways to avoid it. I believe that the death penalty, if implemented in such a way, it would not cause a deterring effect, it would cause more of a need to sneak effect. And those are the two main reasons that I was given for the death penalty and why it should exist. In my personal belief, which I'm going to get to in a minute, I just believe that the death penalty, unless under very specific circumstances, is a very, very, it's the nuclear option when it doesn't have to be, death is the irreversible solution to a problem that can be solved by throwing someone in jail or something. I don't know. I'm going to get into this on the next section, but that's just my 2 cents on why I think these people are idiots. And now we've arrived at what I consider to be the scariest part of this entire project. Trying to phrase my own opinions in a way that makes sense. And won't get me banned from every college on the planet. I will try to keep this brief because this project is already running on, I want to say 10 minutes. And I am recording this at 1 in the morning, and Boyd, I'm going to level with you. I'm so tired, man. Alright, so as I previously mentioned in the pro section, I believe that the death penalty is a very nuclear extreme option for a very solvable issue, I suppose. But at the same time, I do feel like there are some very specific cases where it is, in fact, justified. I was gonna say, the only 2 crimes that I truthfully find worthy enough to be executable under any form of law is any type of murder past accidental and any kind of sexual crime of any variety. I feel as if both of those crimes are well deserving of the death penalty for one very specific reason. Both of those can have lasting, drastic effects on the human psyche, whether it be for the victim or the victim's family. I'm not going to go into detail, but I have done thorough research on the subject, and I know for a fact that the loss of a loved one due to either, they get murdered or they have to live through some kind of honest tragedy where they get taken advantage of by a stronger person, any kind of pedophilia, rape, sexual assault, however you want to phrase it, however you want to put it, I feel as if that crime, committing something so heinous and disgusting against another human being, is the only thing that is deserving of death. But I feel like at the same time, you need to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt. There can be no doubt in your mind, no hesitations, no what ifs, no nothing. You have to be sure that this happened. It needs to be corroborated by witnesses, DNA, anything. Because we can't have innocent people dying because of accusations made by improper people. And those are my opinions on the matter. I know it got a bit dark, but that is what I genuinely think about the death penalty.